different perspectives should be there in the crypto market, but when you actually look at these assets, whether it's Solana, whether it's Bitcoin, you kind of see all of them are below its moving average, which is one. And there has been a long-term trend line. Like, it's a momentum-based chart, for sure. But then you notice the fact that they all have a long-term trend line. They're all below that. They're all below the moving average on a 3-day chart. Now you put them on a weekly chart and you see Bitcoin is correcting on a weekly. The MACD did cross to the downside and it's extending to the downside. Question is, when do you actually have a big move? And you and me, both of them know this fact, yeah? When the MACD enters the negative territory is where you get the real drop. Or, in another perspective, on the weekly chart, whenever you get to see the RSI below 40, that's where you get a big move. Now, say you're analyzing the market on the normal candlesticks. How do you analyze that? You're watching this. Last 2 weeks, it pushed to the downside. Right now, it's consolidating here at the local lows, which is a support, meaning it was a resistance before. It's now taking in a support at that point, which is a good thing. Now, while you're above the support, your RSI is declining, the MACD is declining. That's where it's a little bit conflicting within itself. But then the argument of what dollar is doing should be in front of you, because if dollar is to go back up, which it is showing you, like whether you're a pattern guy, whether you are a reversal guy, it completely looks at each different perspectives, but you're getting this, a double bottom if you want to, or you're getting that reversal. Yeah, the goosebump kind of thing. It usually starts like that. You go back in time and you see, yo, there are a couple of them. It can be the double bottom. It can be that goosebumps. Yeah. So some people call it different. Yeah. But it depends. I was looking, oh, yeah. Boom. That happens. Yeah. And it seems like dollar is preparing for something like that. Now, my question would be like, okay, fine. When dollar was about to do that, what happened in the crypto market in 2018 after this thing was going down in 2017 and that thing was going up? Good. Now watch what happened in 2021, April, May, June, July in crypto market while this happened in dollar. So if that's repeating in itself in dollar terms, how do you put that? Now, macro, which is dollar, is saying, think about that. It is not good. So you go on the gold perspective of the equation. You're like, okay, fine. Dollar is bouncing. Gold is slowing a little bit down. I mean, gold went up so much. It should have a breather. That's it. And those breathers don't, go against it, because it's just a nominal move inside the bull market. Yes, when you look like this, you'll feel, okay, that's very small. But in gold, 25% drop is big. In gold, 30% drop is too big. And that happens inside every bull market. When gold is going up and you measure that's a 30% drop, it's normal. When you see a 50% drop, that's where you're like, okay, fine, that's a re-entry. When you have a negative divergence, that was a very good area to exit. Right now, you don't have a negative divergence on a monthly. So that means if it takes a breather, it's going to be a 20-30% drop. And then it's going to go back up. Yeah. Now, how high is the question? When you put it on a 3-month chart, you're looking for the entire history. Like, you're going back 200 years. And in that 200-year history, if you plot your long-term RSI, which reached the max point, it's like 98. Now we are 88. So you have a little bit of room there to do something in the gold terms of the equation. Now, say you look at silver, like you're comparing the gold, silver, dollar, and understanding what the crypto market may actually do. Now, after reaching this regional resistance, which it has been there from last 40 years, if you break that to the upside after consolidating, obviously, that can be a 50% drop and then a breakout. But your measured move is what? That's big. I mean, that's huge, right? you're going back literally to see all of these, and you need to understand there has been times when this thing went down, then it slowly start, consolidate, go up. But while it's still going up, it can literally do these 50% down moves. And it's not the first time you're watching that in the history. You have seen that multiple times. So it's not a surprising factor. So that says the market has to go down in the economy terms. So the safe haven asset has to go up. Now, I don't consider dollar as a safe haven, but for some reason, a lot of investors do. That's why this thing in itself is showing it has the upside. Do I like it? No. But that's the truth. Now, bring that equation into the crypto market. This is what it actually looks like when you're observing the crypto market on a macro chart. This is a monthly. Watch this. Your RSI is getting rejected just before 70. Your monthly candle looks like this. We have barely a week for this monthly candle to finish itself. And if you look at that monthly candle, do you get any signals, a sign? Like we have seen these before. Yeah, you put in a new low and then go up if you want to. But at that point, it was just an accumulation. Yeah, what are you doing? Maybe a distribution? So if that's true, you have to do this. And that can become what? A double top. That wouldn't actually look good, even though the market didn't go pop like we wanted. But let me ask you this. Do you see this 1, 2, 3? And do you really notice that there is a 1, 2, 3? So here the ABC was very cool. Yeah, it's like this. What if it's coming? Yeah. Because at that point, you have the macro doing this. I mean, that doesn't look good, does it? So there is going to be something just like Brad Garlinghouse has been saying for some time, that a lot of these projects are going to get wiped out. I don't think, the strongest of the strongest projects are going to get wiped out, but the market in itself will have a correction if it's breaking this trend line, which started from last 8 years, 2 market cycles. If it actually breaks, boom, you come down. Yeah. That's your trend line on the RSI, which is not as steep as it used to be back then. But when you give that up, that's a sign. Now, yeah, alt market, excluding Ether, did not actually give that up. But when you go into the total crypto market, we see something which influences the market a lot, which is what? Bitcoin. Yeah. And now it's like, okay, the Bitcoin is arguing the fact that each time it drops below, get out. Now, you didn't do that yet on the total crypto market side of the equation, but you're very close, very close. Yeah. Now, there are people who actually plot this to the upside and say we did that, but this can also be like this. We're very close. Now, we pick Bitcoin into that equation, and then you plot the exact same line. You want to be accurate here. That is where, at that point of breaking down. Now, that means what? You plot it, you go back into the history, you want to see what actually did on that particular month or the next month. Okay, that was a long way to the downside. Good, I understand. Now, let's remove this from there. We know what it actually means. And we see how low it actually went, 53%. The very next month, it actually pushed a little bit lower. So that became a 70% drop from the highs. Now, imagine if it's not 70, if it's just 50, what would it be? That's a $60,000 Bitcoin. I mean, that's crazy. That's nuts. Crypto market is getting shaken, burned. Yeah. So the market is clearly arguing last few months, 4 months, 5 months. It's been shaky. Yeah. Those who said that at the beginning, they got shot in the head with retail going against it. But watch, you didn't do anything from June. There was volatility, but you stayed inside this region. And such a region historically does what? Last time it was so long, it was 1 year. And a lot of people bought in there, boom, they got nuked. So is it going to be something like that? Like you watch the buyer strength. If the buyer strength is going up, the price should go up. If the buyer strength is going down, it should go down. Common sense. So keep your emotions stable. Work through this with a long-term perspective. Now, if you have short-term perspective and you're trying to trade, it's going good on the other end with the trading bot, the rule-based trading bot which we created. And I'm happy that we are playing it correctly. So if you want to have a glimpse of that, Just put the smallest amount, ride it for a month and see if it's working. And if you think it is, yeah, go ahead. Ride it for the entire bear market and make sure when everyone is watching it going down, you're slowly grinding up in your portfolio.